Hello everyone, it's Space Chaser again. Welcome to another model review video, and today we've got a bit of a special one. We're going to do 176 scale Bedford OBs, but we've got 4 different models from 3 different manufacturers. So we thought we'd go quite large on it. It started off quite simply. I pre-ordered this one, the EFE Road Bedford OB in delivery of Whiteways of Wynfawr in North Wales. And I was just going to do a review of that one. But then I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll get various examples of the other models that are available and we'll do a comparison of them all. So that is what I'm going to do. So I've previously done a Bedford OB review of the Corgi Classics 150th scale one. I'll put a link in the description to this video to that one. I also covered the history of the real Bedford OB in that one. As I say, I'll put a link in the description so you can watch that if you're interested. You can also get models of the Bedford OB in 124th scale from Sunstar, in 1/144th, in other words N, and 1/120th TT, both of those from Oxford Diecast. I've not done reviews of those at the minute. I haven't got those models, but if I do get them I will do reviews of them. What all of the models have got in common is that they all feature the Duple Vista body, the best known of the bodywork on the Bedford OB, the classic Duple Vista. They were available in real life with other ones like Plaxton, Wilkes and Mead, Mulliner, people like that spring to mind. But all of the models that are available on the market in all scales are of the Duple Vista body one. So in 176 scale we've got models from EFE. The original EFE run by Gilbow Holdings. They started trading around 1989. In 2016, October 2016, they went into administration and they were bought from administration by Bachmann, who have more recently relaunched the range as EFE Road. So we've got the original EFE, the Gilbow era one, and the EFE Road. It is the same casting, but we'll have a look, see what differences there are. We've got a Corgi Original Omnibus Company one, and we've got the Rapido trains, the recently introduced one. The EFE ones and the Corgi are die-cast metal. The Rapido is injection moulded plastic. So if your modelling room is illuminated by candles or you regularly wave a blowtorch around the place, you might want to get one of the metal ones and avoid the Rapido. So what I'll do, I'll give you a quick run through of the production dates and things of the models. We'll tell you which ones we've got. I'll take them out of the box. We'll have a quick look at the history of the real vehicles that are modelled, and then we'll have a look round. We'll look round them all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do them all together. So I'll do the fronts of all 4, the near sides of all 4, etc. So you can compare them and contrast them and see which ones you like. And then we'll talk about price and all that kind of thing, should you want to add one to your collection, and I'll do a few final notes. So the first manufacturer to get a 176 scale Bedford OB into production was EFE. Their model was introduced in September of 1995, and there were 42 releases between then and May 2015 in the Gilbow era. And so far there have been 6 done by Bachmann under the EFE Road name. All of those have been released in January 2025. That's how these manufacturers work now. They announce so many releases and they all come out together. But as I said, the original EFE model, September 1995. The Corgi version, the original Omnibus Company one, came out in December 1996. And a lot of enthusiasts were thinking, well, why have they done that? There's already an EFE one, it's a good model, why have Corgi bothered? I'm guessing the answer to that is that it takes several years to get a die-cast model from the planning stage through to production. So I'm going to guess that Corgi had already started the process when the EFE one arrived. Obviously, being rival companies, they wouldn't ring each other up and say, oh, we're producing this, what are you doing, kind of thing. So when that one came out, the EFE one, Corgi had a choice of either abandoning the work they'd done so far or continuing and just pitching their model against the EFE one, and so that's what they did. They introduced it, as I said, December 1996. There were 27 releases between then and March 2008, plus there have been a couple of Atlas Editions ones. They sold the casting or allowed the casting to be used by Atlas Editions, and they've done a couple of versions, the Wallace Arnold one, and there's a Jews of Somersham one as well. 8 of the Corgi ones had roof quarter lights, in other words small windows in the cove panels, just sort of on the corner there, and the other 19 had the fixed roof, as you can see there, the plain metal panelling. The more recent one to be introduced is the Rapido Trains version. That came out in August of 2024. There were 12 releases, all of them released at the same time. It's fair to say that some enthusiasts were quite subdued when that was announced. There was a big announcement from Rapido, we're going to do a new single deck casting, and everybody was like, you know, what's it going to be? Is it going to be like a Plaxton Supreme, perhaps a duple dominant bus, maybe something more up to date like an Optare Solo SR? And then there was a further announcement of it's a Bedford OB, and everybody was like, well, all right, okay, because there's already decent models available. As you see, they're all good models. There isn't a bad one among them, but you can already get models from EFE and Corgi. They're both competent models, and there's no shortage of them. The place is absolutely overrun with them. If you go to a toy and train fair, or you do an internet search, there are loads of them for sale. So it was a bit of a subdued reaction, and a friend of mine gets quite angry about it actually. He wanted a Plaxton Supreme, so he was quite gutted when it turned out to be Bedford OB. But anyway, it's up to Rapido what they produce, but we'll have a look at that one as well. Just to spice the video up a bit as well, these two, the Corgi one and the Rapido, are models of the same bus. Mountain Goat only ran one Bedford OB as far as I'm aware. I've only seen pictures of one, and it was registration LRO 296. I could have done a review with 3 versions of it because EFE Road have also done a model of the same bus. However, I wanted the Whiteways one because Whiteways is a fleet that I like, so we've only got 2 of the same vehicle. So the ones we've got to review are from EFE and the Gilboa area. We've got catalogue number 20111. That's the grey-green version, part of the Corgi OOC group. Introduced in April of 1996, that model. Standard release, but it never said how many it actually produced, but you know, there were quite a lot of them. From Corgi, we've got catalogue number 42602 and delivery of the Mountain Goat. That was a limited edition. I don't know if you can see it. Let me just try and move it round. There we go. So 5,000 were produced of that model, and as you can see, I've got model number 1545. For EFE Road, we've got catalogue number E20142, introduced in January 2025, as we said, and that's a model of vehicle ACC 712 and delivery of Whiteways of Winevower. And then we've got, for Rapido trains, catalogue number UK 920010, released in August 2024, again in delivery of Mountain Goat, the same as the Corgi one. So I'll take them out the boxes and then we'll have a look at them. So there we go, folks. After several minutes of swearing and sweating, I've got 3 of them out the boxes fully, and this the Whiteways one, the EFE Road, is still on its plinth. I couldn't get the screws undone to get it off the plinth. It doesn't matter, I'm going to display it in my display case in its box, so I'll leave it on there. We'll be able to see the chassis on the EFE version there anyway, the older EFE version, so that's not a problem. So I'll run through the history of the rail vehicles quickly. So the EFE one, the original Gilboa one, I don't know if you can see that on there, is registration number HYP560. That bus was new in August of 1947 to the Corgi OOC group, trading as grey-green, and that is about all I can tell you about it, unfortunately. There's no record of where it went next, how long it stayed with grey-green, etc., so I can't tell you much more about it. ACC 712, which is the EFE Road version, that was new to O.R. Williams, trading as Whiteway of Winevower in North Wales. It was new in June 1951. It worked for Whiteways for 26 years till 1977. Now I know what you're thinking, Percy Chase, it must be preserved if it worked for that long. It was preserved, but unfortunately it's quite a sad story. It was never restored. By 2007 it was derelict in a field in Drogheda in Ireland. And it had rotted away quite badly. The pillars on the offside had rotted and the roof had collapsed down onto the lower panelling. In April of 2010 it was sold to the Transport Museum Society of Ireland for spare parts. It was still in its field in 2011, but I'm assuming it's since been taken away, stripped for spares and the rest of it scrapped. So it's quite an unfortunate end to a bus that spent a long time working for its operator. It was one of the last Bedford OBs to be in public service in the UK, so it's a real shame really it didn't survive. The one that both Corgi and Rapido have modelled is vehicle LRO 296. This has got the most interesting history of the 3 vehicles. It was new in May 1950 to Picton and Gibbs of Garston in Hertfordshire. In May 1955 it went to Richards, who traded as Truronian of Truro in Cornwall. July 1956, just over a year later, it passed on to Roberts of Penzance, who traded as Riviera. And then in April of 1958, it went to Hurd of Hartland in North Devon. It stayed with Hurd for 18 years. It then passed in May of 1976 to Taylor and Hudson of Windermere, who traded as the Mountain Goat, in whose ownership it's modelled there. Whilst it was at Mountain Goat, it was fitted with a Perkins diesel engine to replace its original petrol one. In 1983, it passed to Skills of Nottingham, and then it was put into their classical hire of Beeston fleet between June 1987 and September of 1990. At some point there, it was fitted with the petrol engine again, but the petrol engine was put back into it. And then in December of 1990, it was sold. It was actually bought by Mitsubishi, the famous engineering company, build cars and things, but it was bought by them on behalf of Gilken Seisakusho Company of Kochi in Japan, and they still own the bus. They use it as a heritage private hire vehicle, so it's still in use now, and I've seen some photos of it. It's immaculately presented, so it's very nice to see one surviving and working. So yeah, really good. So we'll have to look around now, and as I say, I'm going to do all the fronts and all the near sides, etc, etc, so you can compare them. To show you what you're looking for, I'm going to use the old EFE one because they're more or less indestructible. You could throw it off an aeroplane and go and, you know, when you landed, go and pick it up and put it back in your display case. It's the only vulnerable bit on them is the headlights. They're plastic, they tend to snap off sometimes. But yeah, apart from that, they're quite indestructible. So the front of an OB, you're looking for the curved roof dome, the destination blind, which looks quite simple at first glance, but wasn't really. You've got the curved edges there with a kind of raised eyebrow effect up there, and there's bits of angles and things on them. So that's what you're looking for. You've got the two-part windscreen of flat glass arranged in a kind of V shape. A windscreen wiper on the offside only. Most of them didn't have near side windscreen wipers. They were firmly from an era where you just put on what you needed and nothing else. You've got the bonnet that's quite distinctive, looks a bit like a snout. You've got the rather prominent grille there, the headlights sticking out either side of it, and then these big wings at the front. And the bumper, I didn't realise there were two types of bumper until I read the blurb on the Rapido model. Apparently there's an early and a late type. The ones we've got are all late type. They were modelled by most of the manufacturers. Rapido have done both, as you would expect from Rapido, but the one I've got is a late version as well. So looking first at the old EFE one, you can see it looks as it should do really. The destination blinds are printed on. The windscreens are good. They fit quite nicely. Flush glazing attempts there. You've got the wiper that's moulded into the window but not picked out. The bonnet shape looks pretty decent, as does the grille. Very nice indeed. The headlights are plastic, and they do look a bit plasticky as well. They might benefit from either being painted over or given a coat of satin varnish just to kind of tone them down a bit. And then these big wings and the bumper all looking pretty good. And the registration plate as well, looking quite nice. Sorry, I'll just try and get the EFE Road one into shot without trashing the rest of the models. As you can see, it's the same model, exactly the same. The only differences really are it's had the wiper picked out in silver. It's not just moulded in, it's picked out as well. The headlights don't look as plasticky. They've painted sort of the entire circumference of them silver at the front rather than having the little sort of surrounds on there, which does help with the appearance. The grills may be painted in a little bit more detail, as perhaps is the bumper, but it looks pretty good. It is the same model. As you can see, they've made a bit of an addition to this one by putting mirrors on. The mirrors sticking out, looking very, very dainty indeed, and just inviting me to snap them off if I'm not careful. But yeah, the destination blind's still printed on there as well. We go to the Corgi one. It is very, very similar to the EFE model. You can see the main difference on it is that the windscreen wiper is picked out in silver, even though it was a 1990s release, so they're already doing that. The headlights don't look quite as plasticky. They are closer to the actual bonnet sides than on the EFE one. And the bumper is a little bit chunkier on it as well. But yeah, all in all, it's very, very similar to the EFE offering, to be fair. And then the Rapido one. as you would expect, really well detailed. The blinds on this one are actually recessed in as well. The surrounds are picked out in silver, but there is the blinds are recessed and moulded in, as you would probably expect. They're not just printed on like they are on the rest of them. But yeah, otherwise than that, it looks pretty good. One thing I will say, the rail vehicle had a kind of visor thing over the windscreen to cut down the sun in the driver's eyes. And it's modelled on this one, but the effect it's had, if you were a 1/76 scale person, it would look like a sun visor, but it tends to make it look like the windscreen's a little bit too shallow, which it's not. It's the correct height, but it does have a slightly strange effect to our eyes looking at it from the kind of angles that we look at them. You can see what this one has got is some side lights as well. I'm saying you can see it. I'm just trying to get some more light on it. Sorry, it's not well lit. I don't know if you can see there's some side lights sticking up, very delicate indeed, and the sort of things you don't want to be catching. And then the bumper there and the registration plate looking quite decent. Tax discs in the window of this one as well, which is nice to see, and operator's license disc. But yeah, very nice model, very lightweight as well. I know what you're thinking, Pacer, it hasn't got any mirrors. Well, it has. The mirrors and some glasses for the indicators are in a separate bag there. To be fitted by the purchaser. So we go to the near side. Yeah, you've got the various features that you would expect to see. The curved cove panelling, the windows kind of arch over a little bit. The bottom of them is curved. You've got the sliding door with its handle. You've got a recess for it to slide into. You've got the big decorative wing on the back there, famous feature of the Duple Vista. All captured very well on the EFE model, looking very good indeed. Indicators there, just kind of moulded on as well, not just painted. Nice to see. Lettering maybe a little bit crude, earlier EFEs often were, but yeah, not a bad attempt by any means. We'll just move these two back again so I can get the EFE Road one and its base. As you can see, the same model, the lettering looks a little bit more sophisticated, shall we say, as does the picking out of the chrome work at the bottom there. And yeah, very decent. The side lights on the EFE and the Corgi ones are just kind of little moulded bobbles, and not the fine detailed things sticking up on the Rapido one. But they are there, just while I'm mentioning that. Corgi one, pretty decent attempt again. Everything's there that should be. It looks slightly different to the EFE one, but it still manages to capture the look of the rail vehicle. But yeah, very decent attempt. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, to be honest. It looks like they've kind of confused the painting a bit. What should be the indicator appears to be looking like a second door handle, which is a bit strange and picked out in silver. But yeah, it's only a minor really. Apart from that, pretty good. And the Rapido one, as you would expect, very good indeed. You've got a little representation of the plastic kind of visor things over the windows there as well. That looks pretty effective, it has to be said. And the indicator correctly picked out in orange there. But yeah, very nice indeed. Before I move away from the side, let's have a look at the wheels. Obviously the EFE Road one the same as this. EFE one quite decent. They've got the wheel embellisher on the front there, covering the wheel nuts up. That's a fairly typical feature of the Bedfords. The axles are fixed, although they wobble about on this one, but they don't stay. And the back wheel is quite a passable representation of a Bedford OB wheel. Corgi one, again, pretty similar, to be honest. Wheel embellisher on the front. There's a slight damage to the rim there, which is a bit concerning because this bus has only ever been in its box, so it's unclear. It was probably produced like that in the factory, so it's like a quality control issue, shall we say. And then the Rapido one, I've got to give a shout out to these wheels. These are absolutely exquisite. You've got where there should be holes in the rail one, there are actually holes through it rather than just dimples. And the front one as well, wheel embellisher present, but the front wheels on this one stay as well, as you can see. Very nice indeed. Move around to the back. again, you've got curved roof dome, you've got the window curved top and bottom, what would be a glass panel on the real vehicle. It usually had the operator name in it there, registration plate in the middle, indicators either side, and then you've got the boot doors on this back that, I don't know if you can see, but it slopes out slightly as well. Bit of a panel beater's nightmare, and quite a thin and delicate bumper on the back there as well. Again, the EFE one, very, very competent, everything there that should be looking pretty much like you would expect it to. Shift them all back again for this one. Same model again, I keep saying it, but the EFE Road one is the same casting. It's just slightly more involved, I think. It's you know, they've gone to more of a effort, shall we say, to paint it. So yeah, looking pretty decent. The Corgi one, much of a muchness. Some relief to the indicators, as there is on the EFE one as well. So yeah, pretty nice. Back window doesn't look quite as effective. The divider looks exactly what it is printed onto the glazing. It doesn't look quite as effective as the EFE one. And the Rapido one, again, as you would expect, very, very good indeed. Look at the detail on the lettering there. Just let me try and get some more light onto it. There we go. Another feature of the Rapido one all through the bus actually is the, well, I'm going to say rivets, but there wouldn't be rivets on a rail duple vista, there'd be screws. But yeah, and you can just see the level of detail and the lettering as well that they've gone to on there. Interesting to note, I'm keeping the Corgi one in shot as well, because you can see the back's different. The indicators are larger on the Corgi one, as is the registration plate panel. Sorry, just let me see if I can focus the camera a little bit better. Not really. But yeah, I've had a look at some photos, and the Rapido one is the correct version with the shorter registration plate thing and the slightly larger indicators. But yeah, very interesting how you've got two versions of the same bus there. Would be interesting to see what the EFE Road one looks like as well. Offside, not much to mention really. I never really say much about the offside, because once you've seen the near side you get the gist of it. But again, the big ornamental wing there, the curved window line, the beading and things. You've got the emergency door there on the side of the cab. All nicely modelled on this, as you would expect. EFE Road one as well, being careful with the base. Again, same model, not much else to report with it really. The Corgi one, again, much of a muchness. Very nice, nothing to complain about on there really, to be honest. And the Rapido one, again with its rivet or screw detail, but yeah, looking very, very nice indeed, as you would expect from a Rapido model. So we go around to the roof, using the Corgi one there, but let's be consistent and use the EFE. So, roof of an OB with duple vista bodywork. They had this panel which slid in real life, so you could have the roof open on those lovely warm summer days in the 1950s that everybody seems to remember. It's all just fixed and cast on this EFE one, but it looks pretty decent. It looks like it should. Corgi one, again, much of a muchness. There's a bit more of a lip to the middle part rather than, excuse me, the EFE one there. It's just kind of flat, but there's this ridge on this one, which I'm not quite sure if that looks realistic or not, to be fair. But it's a good representation. It's close enough, you know, from normal viewing distances, you wouldn't really have much to complain about with that. I've not done the EFE Road one ever, but it's not really worth it. It's the same as the old EFE one, as you can see, as I keep saying. And then the Rapido one, which slides open, as you would probably expect from Rapido. The only thing is it won't stay shut. If you tilt the bus back slightly, it just flies open, as you can see. But it's a little bit too loose. But yeah, very, very nice detail. You can slide it open and have the roof open if you want to. It does seem to be waggling about a bit, which is slightly concerning, but it's staying on the bus so far. So, you know, touch wood, will be all right. Chassis detail, we're not going to see the EFE Road one for this, because obviously it's still on its base, but it'll be the same as this one. The EFE model, fairly basic, but everything there. You've got the exhaust system coming through, you've got the underside of the engine, you've got the main chassis members there, finished in sort of livery colour, which is a bit of a problem if you display on a hill or anything, like I always say in these reviews. Probably benefit from being painted black. But yeah, pretty decent, not much to complain about there. The Corgi one, very, very similar apart from the Corgi lettering. You think it probably was the EFE version. Less detail of the engine there, but yeah, it's pretty decent. Everything is there that you would expect. And the Rapido one, very, very fine detail. I don't know if you can see because of the lighting, but it's presented in black, which is good if you're displaying on a hill. You've obviously got the steering axle there, but you've got various bits of detail. The exhaust is actually separate. It's standing proud of the chassis. So very, very nice indeed. Last bit that we do on these reviews is the interior. Let's see if I can get some more light on it. There we are. EFE interior, very, very good. Plenty of moulded detail. It would benefit, as always, from taking the bus apart and painting it. I know I say that on every review I do, but it would, because there is some lovely detail there. The seats are shaped really nicely. You can see the headrests sort of sloping and everything. It's nice, but it's all done in one colour. So it would benefit, as I say, from painting it if you could be bothered to do so. And again, just to prove the EFE Road one is the same model, although the interior is quite dark, but it is the same. You can just about see it there. Corgi one, not bad. Corgi interiors tended to be a bit more basic than the EFE ones, and this is the case here. You can see it's not got the shaped headrests sort of sloping forwards or anything like that, and the seats are a little bit heftier, a little bit chunkier, but it's still not a bad attempt. It's quite a nice interior. But again, it is one colour. It would benefit from you taking the bus apart and painting it if you could be bothered to do so. And Rapido, yeah, very, very nice indeed. In fact, we can open the roof and shine the light in. You can see there's all separate railings and things in there. Headrest shaped and all that kind of thing. Different colours. The floor is in a couple of different colours. The seats are a different colour. It looks... Sorry, I'm just trying to get it both on the camera and lit. I'm not doing a very good job, but yeah, it's very, very nice indeed. So as a fine tradition in these review videos, I've been breaking one of the buses, and I managed to do the Rapido one. This is one of the visors from over the side windows, as you can see. Just found it on the table. I didn't know where it had come from, but I've had a look around and it is off the front window there, so that will have to be glued back on. So we come now to price. Now, the most expensive, which probably won't surprise you looking at the detail on them, is the Rapido one. They're fairly new out as I'm doing this. I'm doing this review in February 2025. They've only just been released. Well, they're released late in 2024, so just about all of the ones that are available for sale are new. I've not seen any second-hand ones available for sale. I've had a look on eBay for the purposes of this video. The cheapest one I could find was £40.99 plus £4 postage and packing, so £44.99 all in. And the most expensive £44.95 plus £4.99 postage and packing, so £49.94 all in. So you got about a £5 difference, but somewhere between £45 and £50. TTC diecast were selling them at the same price as you could get them on eBay. £44.95 including postage. Mine was £45.45 from Dave's Diecasts, but via eBay. So yeah, £45 to £50. The second most expensive is the EFE Road one. Again, as I'm doing this in February 2025, they have just been released. They're less than a month old. The again, they're all much of a muchness. Mine was £35.65 plus £4.95 postage and packing. That was from TTC Diecast, so £40.60 all in. And they were still advertising them at that price when I looked at the website as well. So yeah, so £40.60 all in. eBay, you were looking anywhere between £39.50 and £47 and 2p, and that was all including postage and packing. Not just the Whiteways one, it was all of the EFE Road versions. The cheapest ones were the Corgi and the old EFE, the Gilboa era ones. The Corgi, the cheapest one I could find was £6 plus £3 postage and packing. That was on eBay, and that was a grey-green liveried version, the same livery as the EFE ones carrying. The most expensive was £20 plus £4.50 postage and packing, so £24.50, and that was the Hanson Sussex one. That's quite sought after. The Atlas one started at £5.89, that was £2.50 plus £3.39 postage and packing, up to £20 plus £3.99, so £23.99. That was for a brand new one. Liz Keith had some, the model shop at Eastbourne. They were £8 to £11 with postage on top, so somewhere about £13 to £16. So, but they start, as I say, about £9 including postage and packing for a Corgi one. And then the cheapest ones that you could get, the EFE one, the old Gilboa EFE. Cheapest one I could find on eBay, £3.49 plus £3.69 postage and packing, so that was £7.18 all in. That was a grey green one, the one I've reviewed. The most expensive, quite a rare one, £27.99 plus £4.20 postage and packing, £32.19, and that was the Seaview Services on the Isle of Wight. That one, Liz Keith had the EFE ones between £7 and £10 plus postage, so somewhere between about sort of 12 and 15 with postage included. Mine was the bargain price of £6.94 from eBay. It was really, really cheap. So, final thoughts. First of all, are the Rapido one and the EFE Road one worth it? I mean, if there weren't any other models on the market, then yes, because obviously they're both a decent price. Normally for brand new diecast, you're looking somewhere between like £50 and £60. So, you know, starting at about £40 when including postage for a new diecast, pretty decent. And so, you know, the level of detail you get on the Rapido one for between 45 and 50, very, very good indeed. The problem is, obviously, you can get these. As I said at the start of the video, they are very, very common. If you go to Toy and Trade Fair, you'll be overrun with Bedford OB models second hand. If you look on the internet, there are loads of them for sale. And when you can get one of these for, you know, £7 basically, including postage and packing, then why really would you want to pay the extra money for these? Because, you know, although these are old models, they're very, very good. They're very, very good models indeed, and there's no real reason to pay the extra money. If you're really, really into Bedford OBs, you're probably going to want to splash out and treat yourself and get a Rapido one, but be careful handling it, because otherwise bits will start to fall off like that. And that always puts me off. You pay a lot of money for these models and then bits drop off them. And, you know, I know it's finely detailed and stuff, but I've not been throwing it about. I've just been moving it around to show you on the review video, and a bit's fallen off already, which is not ideal. I do wonder where the EFE Road one fits in, because obviously it's the same casting, as I keep saying, as the old EFE. So unless you want a particular release, like I wanted the Whiteways one, because I like Whiteways buses, and nobody's ever done a model of one basically. But unless you want that, you know, why would you pay £35, particularly for like the Mountain Goat version? Again, if you're really into Bedford OBs and the Mountain Goat, you're going to pay the extra bit of money for the Rapido one, the all singing, all dancing with the steering axles and things. If you're not that bothered, if you just remember them from holidays, you're going to pay, you know, £10 to £15 for a Corgi one. So it's hard to know where they fit in, but obviously it's a matter of personal choice. If you want to pay the money for them, then, you know, go ahead. I'm not here to advise you on what you really should buy, but I'm just pointing out what is available, and know which one I would rather get. I'd sooner pay £7 for that than £40 odd for that one. But as I say, it is a matter of personal choice. Anyway, that's it for this review video, so thank you as always for watching. Take care of yourselves. I'm going to go and glue this Rapido bus back together again now, but as always, as I say, thank you for watching, and bye for now.